buckle up, enjoy the ride with Crystal Petry.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of 60 Minutes With. I'm your host, Crystal Petry, and joining me today is Shawn Webb Locke. She is the CEO of Shawn Webb Real Estate Team. Today, she is going to educate us all on the home buying process and the home selling process. So welcome to the show, Shawn.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Crystal. It's a pleasure to be here, a pleasure to be invited, and I'm excited to educate everyone on the home buying and home selling process.
Thank you, because I feel like sometimes it could be, or it seems like it could be daunting for people to buy their homes and sell their homes. So we're going to get all into it. So my first question obviously is, how did you get into real estate?
So I got into real estate actually through my husband. When I met him, of course, he was in law enforcement for many, many years. He's retired from law enforcement, but at the time he was also a builder. And he's still building. He's been building for over 25 years now. So anyway, long story short, started kind of working for him behind the scenes, doing some administrative duties for Redeem Construction for his company. Introduced me to real estate. I started tagging along with him and just became intrigued by it.
And why did you become intrigued by it?
I think I became intrigued by it because just seeing the day-to-day operation of what he was doing with building and meeting with clients and customers and being able to service those clients and customers and just all of the facets of real estate, from the construction part of it to the lending and helping people get financed for their home loans. It was very intriguing to me, and I thought, wow, if I could be a part of this, an intricate part of it in some kind of way, I thought that it would kind of take off, and it did. Praise God.
And how long have you been in real estate?
So I actually have been in real estate since 2016. I went at the time I was still working for Beaumont ISD, so I was doing real estate part-time for about a year and a half. And then it just, became a little bit overwhelming trying to maintain, juggle, both positions, and real estate just kind of took off for us. Thankfully, we've been blessed in it. And so I guess you could say I left about a year and a half after that. I went into real estate full time, left BISD, cultivated the Shawn Webb Real Estate Team, and kind of went from there.
Was that a scary move to leave BISD, like stability?
Yes.
And jump into something that you kind of didn't know?
Yeah, absolutely. I cried, actually. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, I cried, when I left BISD. You hear these other teachers and administrators, you hear the stories, they left a certain campus or school district, for their own personal reasons, but they were ready to leave when they left.
Right.
Contrary to that, I, on the other hand, was not ready to leave. It was a huge step. I knew that I was having to step out on faith. I cried. I was afraid. I was like, I'm walking away from retirement. I'm walking away from medical. I'm walking away from the life that I've known for almost 15 years.
Wow.
To transition into a commission-based,
Yes.
real estate. You don't sell, you don't eat, right?
Yes.
So, but I stepped out on faith. I prayed about it. I had a great support system with my husband and our children and my family, and here we are.
Okay. Can you tell us what are the roles and responsibilities of a real estate agent? I know they help you sell the house or help you buy the house,
Right.
But I guess outside of that, what are the true roles and responsibilities?
It's a very good question, Crystal. So actually, the roles and responsibilities of a real estate agent, I can give you the condensed version. We sell real estate, okay? We represent clients, whether it's buyers or sellers, much like an attorney would represent clients, But we represent our buyers. Our job there is to try to get them into the homes that they want, but also to serve their best interests and make sure they're getting the best interest rates, make sure they're getting connected with the best lenders for their situation. If there's down payment assistance available, make sure they're privy to it and that they can qualify for it, help to facilitate that. And many, many other facets of it. And then on the selling side, our job is to make sure the sellers can sell their homes. We educate them on what it takes to put their home on the market. We give them a free home valuation, a free market analysis, let them know what they can realistically expect for their home, for market value, and to facilitate retaining a buyer for them, and to just have everybody's best interest at heart.
What is your intention, your personal intention with real estate?
Oh, that's a good question. My personal intention with real estate is to help, to help people. You know, I came from a background of education and counseling.
Right.
You know, I've loved helping people since I was a kid. You know, whatever I could do to try to help. And so in real estate, you know, I think that's why it's been such I would say, an easier transition for me than it may be for other realtors, because that is my goal in real estate, is to be able to help. The gratitude that I get from helping so many first-time home buyers, so many younger home buyers, older home buyers, you know, people who have rented for generations, you know, and the first generation of home buyers because their parents rented, their grandparents rented, you know. People who feel like, you know, I've even run across clients, I'm in my 60s, 70s, it's you know, we've rented all of our lives, it's too old, why get a mortgage now? No, because if that's what you want to do, let's do it. You know, you only live once, you know. So that gratitude, and even on the seller side, you know, being able to help sellers sell their homes for various reasons, because they're relocating, or they want to downsize, or they want to upgrade, whatever. But at the end of the day, to answer your question, Crystal, to be able to help people and to build those relationships is my intent, and it's been my my biggest, I guess you would say, source of gratitude, is why I'm so thankful to be in real estate. You know, that's been my biggest joy in real estate, is to be able to form those relationships and help people.
When purchasing a home, what would you say is the most important things a buyer should look for?
When purchasing a home, I would say one of the, so let's just say, you know, they've already made it through the initial steps. You know, they've reached out to a reputable realtor that they trust. That realtor has already connected them with a trusted lender, and they're qualified for financing, right? So they're doing their home search now. They're conducting their home search with their realtor. I would say the number one thing that's of most importance for buyers when they are in their home search process is to be sure you are comfortable with your monthly payments at your approval amount. Many times, sometimes lenders don't think to ask that question. You know, Crystal, you come to me, you know, I'm just saying as a mortgage lender, you go to the mortgage lender and they say, you know, Crystal, you're pre-approved FHA for $300,000. It's time for you and Shawn to go shopping for your home. Congratulations. And everybody's all excited in the whoop-ball, because it is a very exciting moment. It's a huge accomplishment to get qualified for home financing, right? But then we stop shopping for these homes, and I, you know, ask the clients. I say, hey, are you comfortable with your note at this $300,000? They go, well, what's my note going to be? I say, well, it depends on, you know, with today's interest rates. You know, you're thinking, I would say maybe roughly 1% of the sales price. They're looking about $3,000 a month with taxes and insurance. They go, whoa, let's scale this back. And sometimes the lenders just either forget to mention that, or they do mention it to the buyers, but they're so caught up in the excitement of being qualified for home financing, they miss that. So that's the first, to me, of utmost importance. Before we start home shopping, before you put gas in your car to go look at a home, I need you to make sure you're good with your monthly payments and your closing costs, your estimated closing costs. Let's make sure you're good. And if you're good with all of that, we're going to hit the ground running. Let's go find the home that you love.
And I would ask the same thing about someone that's selling their house. What would you say is the most important thing?
The most important thing for clients wanting to sell their home is to actually know, get an estimate of the market value, a realistic estimate of the market value. Not a Zestimate from Zillow.
That's what we all do.
No, not a Zestimate from Zillow. Okay, because, you know, contrary to popular belief, Zillow is not always accurate. Most of the time, Zillow is not accurate. So get an estimated market value, market analysis from a realtor, an experienced realtor who knows how to run true comps. You know, based on the factors that go into running comps, much like an appraiser would. So, but have realistic expectations for the suggested market value of your home, and have realistic expectations of how long it could potentially take to sell your home, depending on the market. But that comes from conversations with an experienced realtor.
What does it's a seller's market mean when we hear that?
So when you hear that it's a seller's market, basically it means that there are more buyers in the market than there are homes available. There's more buyers than there are inventory.
Okay.
See, when you have more buyers in the market than you have inventory, it becomes a seller's market. It's beneficial for the seller because now I've got all these buyers bidding for this one home, which many times can drive up the sales price because now we're in a bidding war.
Yes.
You know, or as a seller, I don't have to offer closing cost assistance because I know I've got 4 people looking at my home and wanting to present an offer on it. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a higher demand. There are more buyers in the market than there are inventory.
And the same thing when we hear of buyer's market.
Correct.
What does that mean?
It's the opposite effect.
Okay.
There is more inventory. There are more homes on the market than there are available buyers.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. And so now the buyer has an advantage. You know, because when there's a I guess a not an abundance. I want to make sure I'm saying this correct. When there is an abundance of inventory out there, you know, buyers have their pick now, and they're not in these bidding wars.
Right.
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 So it becomes an advantage to the buyer in that case when it's a buyer's market.
You mentioned interest rates earlier. What does interest rates have to do with the home buying process?
So interest rates are very integral with the home buying process, meaning from a mortgage standpoint, you know, your mortgage is comprised of principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay. But your interest rates drive the price of your mortgage, your monthly payments. Put it that way. Your interest rates drive your monthly payments. Okay. The higher your interest rate, the more your monthly payments. The lower your interest rate, the lower your monthly payments.
Okay.
Yes, it's kind of simple math.
What does a person's credit score have to do with buying a home, or does it have anything to do with buying a home?
Credit scores are important with buying a home because they can drive your interest rates. Okay, the higher your credit scores, the better your credit scores, of course. Typically, the better interest rate you can get. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot purchase a home with lower credit scores. There are lenders out there that have products geared towards homeowners or applicants with lower credit scores, but it may come at a higher interest rate, or it may come with a more hefty down payment. You know, some of our lenders can accept lower credit scores if you've got a substantial down payment to offset that.
Okay. So I'm assuming that lenders, before they lend you the money, they have to pull your credit score, right?
Absolutely.
And does that affect your credit score in a negative manner, or just leaves it as is?
Well, so if they're doing it, most of the time, when you complete a loan application, most of the time they're doing a hard inquiry. Okay. Some loan officers, some lenders can do a soft pull. But in most instances, in order to run your credit for home application, for home financing, they have to do a hard inquiry. It can affect your credit scores anywhere from 3 to 10 points. Okay, is what I'm seeing on average, anywhere from 3 to 10 points. But it's worth it. It's worth to get that hard inquiry for the buyer, so that the lender can get a true blueprint of that person's credit history and analyze it and say, okay, hey, you're good to go as far as your credit scores are concerned. Or if there are some things that need to be worked on or need to be improved, they can develop a credit plan for that buyer and say, hey, if you'll follow these steps, you know, these can improve your scores, you know, without the need for paying for credit repair.
If someone is looking to sell their home, what would you say is the most important thing they need to do?
Reach out to an experienced realtor. Do their research on the realtor first. Reach out to an experienced realtor that sells homes. Okay? It's just like if you're going in for, you know, for surgery. You want to research your doctor. You want to make sure that they've done this before.
Right.
You know, I need a certain procedure done. Have you done this before? How many times have you done this?
Right.
You know, are you board certified? Do you know what you're doing? It's the same thing. You got to remember, in many instances, buying or selling, but especially selling, this is the biggest investment of your life that we're dealing with here. So you want to make sure, do your research on your realtor, your real estate agent. Make sure they know what they're doing, that check for references. Go to their websites, go to their social media pages, that they are experienced and that they can bring to the table the numbers, the data. Where are you getting this pricing from? This market, you're telling me my home is worth this much. Where are you getting that from? They need to be able to bring you reports and data and analysis.
Yes. When selling your home, should you always expect to get the asking price? Like if I list my home for $300,000, I should expect to get the $300,000.
You should not. Sorry, I know that's not the answer a lot of sellers want to hear, but you should not always expect to get the asking price. Reason being is because, again, if you have an experienced realtor, they can guide you through that. Depends on what kind of market it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it could be if it's a buyer's market, you may not get that asking price. If the buyer needs closing cost assistance, that's an automatic deduction from your top number, from your asking price. What's the average days on market? What's your motivation for selling? If you're relocating and you got to be in, you got to move to Katy in the next 60 days due to a job relocation.
Yes.
So we can price it to sell quickly, or if you want to slow roll it, we can let it sit a little bit longer. There are many variations to it, but in a nutshell, should you expect to get the asking price? It really just depends. Not all the time, though.
What is some mistakes that you see sellers make when trying to sell their home?
Trying to sell it themselves.
Can you do that? I didn't know you could sell your home yourself.
It's called for sale by owner.
Oh, I see those signs.
It's for sale by owner, and that is the most common mistake that I see sellers make, because they try to bypass paying a commission or getting a real estate agent involved, and they try to sell it themselves. And they end up with all kinds of looky-loos looking through their home, wanting to schedule showings that are not qualified for financing, number one. They run into pitfalls once if they are lucky enough to retain a buyer. They run into pitfalls with inspections, not knowing how to negotiate repairs, not knowing how to negotiate appraisal reports, results. So yeah.
Lenders, how do you know what is the best lender for you, like personally? How would I know what's the best lender for me?
That's a good question. Again, I keep bringing up your real estate agent. Your real estate agent should be able to screen you, ask you a series of questions, and determine which lender would be a best match for your situation.
Okay.
It's not a one-size-fits-all for lenders. You have some agents that send all of their clients to this one lender, and I've found that to not be as effective. Ask the important questions up front about credit scores, about job history, things of that nature. That way, in your mind, you can know, okay, Crystal would be a best fit with this lender as opposed to that lender. It's not a cookie cutter situation.
And what lenders would a potential home buyer, what questions do I need to ask the lender?
So as far as the client asking the lender questions, number one, how long have they, been doing this? Not saying that a newer lender is not reputable, but how long have you been in the lending business? If I don't qualify right now, are you able to provide me a credit action plan instead of just a D&Q, which is a do not qualify letter? Are you able to provide me a credit plan? And what products do you offer for your home buyers? There are various different products. You have down payment assistance products.
Okay.
You have products that are geared towards lowering interest rates, based on credit scores and job history, things of that nature. So those are the important questions to ask a lender, what products they offer and their experience in lending.
And what question do you think would be good to ask a potential real estate agent?
Again, how long have you been, how long have you been in real estate? Again, doesn't mean that newer agents are not reputable, but you want to know that even as a newer agent, that they understand the real estate processes. What lenders do you work with? How do you determine which lender you're going to match me with? Do you know the lending products that are out there as a realtor? Can you guide me in the right direction? Who offers down payment assistance? Will I qualify for down payment assistance? What should I do? Once you connect me with a lender, what documentation do I need to get prepared to submit to that lender?
When selling your home, how do you know how much to put it on the market for? Or is that your real estate agent that does that? Is there a formula with like figuring that out?
Yes.
The sale price? Okay.
Absolutely. So again, as a seller, you rely heavily on your real estate agent, on your realtor for those numbers. It's called market value, and we give you a suggested list price. The list price is the sales price that you are asking when you put it on the market. Okay. But an experienced real estate agent, what they do is what it's called running the comps.
Okay.
And we pull homes that have sold within the past recent, sometimes we go back 6 months, sometimes we go back 8 months to a year. It just depends on the area, the demographic of the area, the makeup of it. And we pull homes that have closed, that have actually sold within that time frame, that are similar to yours in square footage, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, condition, size, location. And we run that data and we give you a report, and your estimated market value should fall within a range. And that's how we determine our suggested list price.
What determines, and we hear it all the time, especially in the news, home prices, home value is increasing, home value is decreasing. What determines that?
The market determines the values of our homes, okay, in our area, okay? Historically, especially over the past decade, home values have been on a steady increase, okay? Which is not a bad thing. I know some buyers can say, oh, homes are too high right now, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're a homeowner, you want property values to increase. You want them to appraise, But actually, so to answer your question, the market drives home values.
And you're referring to the real estate market?
The real estate market, that is correct.
Are there some things that a home seller can do to increase the value of their home outside of the market?
Yes, absolutely. So sometimes, like I said, when you have an experienced realtor, that's our job, to go into the home and do a visual assessment first, and walk in and say, hey, listen, maybe if you, added some mulch or some landscaping to the front, maybe if you painted the front door, curb appeal is everything. I tell all my sellers that if I can't get them inside of your home, I can't sell it.
Right.
So there are things like that. And sometimes it could be things as simple as replacing the toilet seats, replacing the toilets, replacing some outdated faucet fixtures. It just depends. But yeah, there are definitely things that sellers can do to improve their chances of, or the marketability of their home.
What do you think are some mistakes that people make that bring down the value of their home, but they don't know that that's what's happening?
I don't know if necessarily I would say bring down the value of their home, but I would say decreases the marketability of their home.
Okay.
Or things like, if their home is on the market, and I use this in a funny way, but I'm so serious. If it smells like, fried chicken and pork chops when we walk in and look at the home, seriously. If it smells like you just cooked. If it smells like animals in your home. Oh, yeah. If you leave the toilet seats up and you haven't cleaned the toilet. I mean, there are, yes.
That doesn't happen, does it?
It does.
What?
If we're showing a home and there's dirty clothes and dirty linens and stuff all over I'm telling you, and sometimes it can be the nicest, most beautiful home on the outside, but as soon as you walk in, you can smell a stench and it's filthy on the inside. That can severely turn off a buyer and decrease the marketability of that home. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
It happens.
I can't believe people do that. That are trying to sell their home.
That is on the market, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. As a real estate agent, and I don't even know if it's possible, but how can you help a buyer find their perfect home?
So perfect is so subjective.
Exactly.
It is. But but we do our best. We do. Once you're approved for financing and you're good with your approval amount and your monthly payments and all those things that we mentioned before, and we're ready to do your home search, of course, we say, what are you looking for? Number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, location, hey, I want a fenced in backyard, whatever. We try our best to check off at least 7 of the 10 boxes that you are wanting. There is no perfect home. Okay. Even with new construction, there are just no perfect homes. It might be perfect for you, but there are no perfect homes. But what we do is we try our best to accommodate our clients and at least check off at least 7 of the 10 check boxes, relatively speaking, of what they're wanting in a home.
What would you say is the most confusing part about buying a home? And then I'll backdoor with the same question. What would you say is the most confusing part about selling a home?
You asked some tough questions. All right. The most confusing part of buying a home, I would say, would probably be the cross-up between what's an inspection and what's an appraisal. A home inspection is just that. It's a home inspection. And the inspector goes out to the home and he inspects the home for any deficiencies and then sends you a report.
Okay.
The seller is not obligated to make one repair from that report.
Really?
Just so you know. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. That report is for your knowledge. Now, granted, a lot of us as agents use it as leverage to negotiate some closing cost assistance or repair costs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, many don't get it twisted. Many times repairs are negotiated from that report, but the seller's not obligated. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Now, an appraiser, in contrast to a home inspector, an appraiser goes out to the property when they are called to do so, and they do their own inspection. But their inspection is geared towards assessing a value to the home.
Okay.
The home must appraise for the sales price, okay? But if the appraiser calls the home seller on any repairs, if they call out anything like rotted wood, peeling paint, anything like that, the roof, at that point it becomes required and the seller must make those repairs. They become lender required.
Okay.
And so at that point the seller must make those repairs in order for the deal to move forward.
And that's coming from the appraiser.
Correct.
So if the appraiser says you have to make these changes, then you have to make the changes.
Absolutely. In order for the deal to go through. Correct.
Okay.
In order for that transaction to go through and for the bank to finance it, the seller is now required to make those specific repairs. And if
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Okay. Do you have to turn over the inspection report to the appraiser? Do they see that report
They
at
should
all?
never see that report.
Okay.
The appraiser should never see the inspection report. The buyer's lender should never see the inspection report. The inspection report is for the buyer's knowledge only. The buyer and their agent are the only ones who should see that report unless they are trying to negotiate repairs from it. And at that point, whatever repairs they are negotiating from it, the buyer's agent has their due diligence to send a copy of the report to the seller's agent based on those repairs that we're asking for.
Okay.
Yes.
Is purchasing a home an emotional buy? And should it be an emotional buy?
It can become an emotional buy, I will say that.
Okay.
It can become an emotional buy because it can become an emotional process, you know. Should it be an emotional buy? Yes and no.
Okay.
It should not be an emotional buy. I don't know if I even want to travel down there. I don't know if I want to travel down the should not part. I'll travel down the should part.
Okay.
It should be an emotional buy if you are prepared mentally
Okay.
and financially, and you are excited about the process. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Does a home being on the market affect anything? Because I hear it said a lot of times, oh, that's been on the market way too long. I don't have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Does it really affect? I mean, does it really mean anything?
Not necessarily, to be honest with you. We have homes, honestly, just depending on the market. We have homes that are, a great home. That are great homes. You have new builds that sit on the market sometimes for days, weeks, months at a time. It does not mean that anything is deficient about the home. It does not mean there's anything wrong with the home. And I get it. The longer it sits, the more people think, what's wrong with it?
Yes.
But many times, more often than not, there's nothing wrong with the home. It's just it's just the market at the time. Mm-hmm.
So these next few questions, I want to give like some real estate jargon, if you will, if you can explain that to us.
Sure.
What is a comparative market analysis?
That's a CMA.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's a comparable market analysis, and again, if you're getting ready to sell your home, you want to get with an agent who's experienced in CMAs that can run a comparable market analysis report and show you that range that I was talking about.
Right.
Mm-hmm. that this is where your market value, this is where the price, suggested list price is for your home within this range.
What is earnest money?
So earnest money is, it's like a security deposit. You know, when you rent an apartment, you put up a security deposit
Right.
to show that you are serious about this apartment and you want to move forward. It's pretty much the same thing for home buyers.
Okay.
It's a security deposit. It goes to the title company. The title company holds all monies that are submitted in a real estate transaction. They go to the title company. Title company is a neutral place that holds monies that are submitted for a home. They hold that earnest money deposit until closing, and then the buyer gets it back as a credit at closing. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. Now, should the buyer default for some, inexplainable, reason, then of course the seller can keep that earnest money. It has to be, it's spelled out in the contract though.
What is the usable square footage of a home?
Usable square footage of a home is self-explanatory. It's square footage that can be utilized as living space.
Okay.
So that's going to exclude your garages. That's going to exclude your patios. If you look on Jefferson County Appraisal District, for the square footage of a home, you'll see a combination of square footages or square feet, I should say. And they include like garage spaces and storage buildings as, square footage, but those are not usable. They're not living. They're not included in the livable square footage.
Okay, and this is my final question on terminology.
Sure.
What does being house poor mean?
It pretty much means that you've exhausted all of your resources on buying a home, so now you can eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day. And my team and I strongly discourage buyers from doing that.
Okay.
And most of the time they listen to us, and that's just a part of having your client's best interest. Nobody wants to be house poor. I know you love this, whatever dollar amount home, and it's your dream home. But at the end of the day, if it's going to exhaust all of your resources and drain your savings, and all you're going to be able to do is eat noodles for the next year, you probably want to reconsider scaling back your choice of homes. Yeah.
Is there a good time to sell a home? Like winter, fall, spring?
No, as far as the seasons, there's so many myths and opinions on that. Some people feel like it's better to sell in the summertime or the spring because people are transitioning from school to school location. But in my experience, I'm going to say the answer to that is no, because I've had higher home sales in October and December sometimes than I have in the summertime. Okay. Truth be told. Yeah.
Wow. And is there, and it'll probably be the same answer, is there a good time of year to buy a home?
It's always a good time to buy a home.
Really?
Yep. It's always a good time to buy a home. Yeah, truth be told.
Okay, I did not expect that. Okay. Now, you've mentioned this a couple times throughout the podcast. Why is location so important when you're dealing with real estate?
Location is important for, so first of all, a great location is very subjective. Okay. Great location for you may not be my location of desire. Okay. Great location to me may not be your desired location.
Right.
But however, location is important in real estate, buying or selling, but particularly on the buying side, because you have to think about resale value. You're going to want to sell that home, potentially. You might want to sell or rent that home one day.
Yes.
Will it have that appeal? Will you be able to sell it one day?
Do you work with, and I'm going to talk about your personal Shawn Solely real estate team. Do you work with people outside of Southeast Texas?
Yes.
Okay. So how far outside of Southeast Texas do you work?
So my team services all of Southeast Texas, from Orange to Houston, Texas, and everywhere in between and the surrounding areas. Okay. We've just expanded to the Houston area, so now we service all of Houston area, Baytown area, all of those areas as well. However, outside of Southeast Texas, yes, we are. So first of all, we're licensed in the entire state of Texas. Okay, but because we like to be very familiar with the areas of service, so let's just say I have a client that's wanting to move to the Dallas DFW area or Arlington area or whatever. What I do is I match them with one of my referral partners there that I know. We call them A-team realtors. Okay. A-team means they've gone through the proper training for real estate. They are experienced. They have a certain number of sales under their belt, so that they can best accommodate any referrals, any leads that we send them.
Okay.
Make sure they're taken care of. Same thing with Louisiana. Actually, so referral partners, actually, we have nationwide referral partners.
Oh,
Through our
okay.
brokerage, yes, through ERA.
Okay. Right now, Southeast Texas, you're located right on the Gulf Coast, which normally, and I don't want to speak it into existence, but we're known for getting hurricanes here.
It's what it is, yeah.
Does that affect the real estate market in this area?
So, it does, actually. It does because sometimes, especially after we've had those storms, it can drive insurance rates up.
Okay.
And you gotta remember, taxes and insurance for most of us are escrowed into our mortgage. So yeah, sometimes that can affect buyers' ability to get qualified for financing. And sometimes the criteria is a little tougher because of the insurance rates. But yeah, and of course after we have a storm, that's a whole nother conversation. I get into that later. Yeah, it booms the housing market. You'd be surprised.
After we have
After we have storms, the housing market skyrockets.
Why is that?
Oh, Jesus. That is because you got to think about it. At that time, most of the time after a storm, and there's been any type of damage in our area, a lot of people are wanting to sell their homes. They're tired of the flooding in their area, or their property got damaged and they don't want to rebuild there. They want to start over somewhere else. You know what? Let's just start over, take our insurance money and start over somewhere else. That plays a huge factor into it. And there are so many other, that's a whole other podcast. There's a lot of reasons why that happens. But yeah, people pay attention. After storms, the housing market skyrockets.
I would never have thought that. That's crazy.
It is crazy, but it happens. Yep.
Okay, can you tell me the difference between paying a mortgage and paying rent?
The main difference is that paying rent, you'll never own it. You'll never own it. Okay, paying a mortgage, it's yours and you are building equity. When you're paying rent, you're doing just that. You're paying rent. So, which means you're paying someone else's mortgage ultimately, and you're not building the equity in it. Equity is the positive funds that you are incurring every year, every day, every month that you live in that home.
Okay.
And it's your equity. Equity, of course, is just what it is. It's equity. It's a plus. It's a positive financially.
If a first-time home buyer comes to you and says, my first time, I've been renting my whole life, how can you tell, or how can they tell that they are ready to make that jump from, I've been renting all these years, my mom's rented, but I want to purchase a house? How do you know they're ready?
So I get that phone call, that text, or that email every week. Every week.
Oh, okay.
My team and I get that, from potential, clients out there every week. And the simple answer to that is that, again, I screen them, I ask them a series of questions regarding their credit. So do you know where your scores are? Are you monitoring your scores? Have you filed taxes for the past 2 years? Do you have W-2? A series of questions to determine which lender to match them with. And you're right, some of them I can tell off the bat, you're ready, let's go. But even if I feel like you're not ready, it's okay. Let's match you with this lender. Go ahead and fill out the application. That way they can pull your credit report profile, analyze it, and get you ready. You may not be ready now, but we can get you there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
As we're coming to the end of this podcast, what bit of advice would you give a potential home buyer, and what bit of advice would you give a potential home seller?
I'd give them both the same advice. Call the Shawn Webb Real Estate team.
Yes.
And let us get you where you need to be. Let us service your real estate needs, whether buying or selling. I mean, the answer is simple. We are a team of dedicated, professional, experienced real estate agents. And we are here to service all of Southeast Texas. So give us a call and we can walk you through either step, buying or selling.
And my follow-up question to that is, how do they get in touch with you?
They get in touch with me. It's Shawn with the Shawn Webb Real Estate team. They can call us at 409-554-6599. The website is ShawnWebbLocke.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. You look us up on social media and you'll find us.
Excellent. And I'll make sure and have all of that information in the description box below. And I'll also have it on the screen for you in case you want to write it down and give them a call. My final question for you, and you have been amazing, Shawn, throughout this entire interview.
I appreciate it.
Who do you think would make a great guest on the podcast, but you have to help me get them on.
Gotcha. I think our chair, Ava Graves, she is the Jefferson County Democratic Party chair.
Okay.
Ava Graves, I think she would make a great interview. She's a wealth of knowledge for the party and even outside of the party. She's just a wealth of knowledge for the community, and I think she'd be a great interview for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for educating me. I mean, I'm pretty well versed in real estate. At least I feel that I am.
You are.
But you have, thank you. But you have given me a lot of aha moments that I did not know about.
Thank you. Hey, listen, I appreciate the opportunity. I love this. I love what I do. I don't accept the invite to a whole lot of invites for podcasts and radio shows and whatnot, just because of the time restraints. With me running several businesses, but I accepted yours. I've viewed you. You've got a great show going on here. I thank you, and I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you so much.
Yep,
Thank
absolutely.
you. And thank you for tuning in and watching. You can catch this podcast and all of my other podcasts on YouTube Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. And always remember, you always have time to listen and learn on the go.
Go on a journey. Sit back, buckle up, enjoy the ride with Crystal Petry Consulting. So